I think it's safe to say that I, along with millions of others, I'm assuming, have started to grow kind of numb to all of the crazy stuff and to all of the crazy news stories that are going on these days. But every now and then I come across a news story that manages to penetrate my defenses. Every now and then I come across a news story that manages to make me lose a tad bit more hope for humanity. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't have that much hope left to give. You know, in this day and age, it just feels as if nothing is shocking anymore. Nothing is surprising anymore. Crazy stuff is happening around us every single day. It's like you wake up automatically assuming, you just wake up knowing that something crazy is going to happen today, right? Name one day that you've woken up recently where you've been able to look at the news or look at the internet without some type of shocking event taking place. But even though I've grown numb to a lot of the stuff that's going on around us, as I said, every now and then something happens that manages to just kind of shake you a little bit. It kind of wakes you up because a lot of us, even myself at times, I feel like we're asleep at the wheel because everything's going on and you just get comfortable with it. But every now and then something happens that kind of, it manages to get to your core. And for me at least, this is one of those stories. The story that I'm about to bring to you all today. But in order for me to bring you all this story, first we must rewind time back to January 18th, 2022. On the night of January 18th, 2022, a man by the name of Brandon O'Quinn Raspberry was mysteriously killed in what appeared to be his sleep inside of an RV in an RV park in Texas. Now, for the last 2 years, detectives and law enforcement have been working overtime trying to solve this case. But the case has left them confused. It has left them stumped. They keep coming up on dead ends. Until now. Because earlier this week, a 10-year-old boy at a school in Texas was taken to the principal's office because he was making these threats against one of his classmates, threats that the school was taking very seriously. Upon talking to this 10-year-old child, the child openly admitted that a couple of years ago, he randomly, for no reason at all, killed a man inside of an RV park when he was 7 years old. Now, the school relayed this information to law enforcement because they already had to notify law enforcement about the threats that he was making against the students in the classroom, but the school thought that maybe these were just, the delusional, imagination of a 10-year-old boy. But when detectives and law enforcement heard the details about what the kid described, they automatically knew that that sounded like the case from the night of January 18th, 2022. When Brandon O'Quinn Raspberry was killed. So they sit down with this 10-year-old boy and they question him, and he admits that when he was 7, for no reason at all, he killed this man. I want to go ahead and dive into this article so we can all figure out a little bit more information about what's going on here. Now, before I dive into this article, I need to ask you all to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It's totally free and it helps the channel out a lot. But let's go ahead and dive right in. A 10-year-old Texas boy confessed to killing a stranger over 2 years ago But according to state law, the alleged murderous youngster cannot be charged with the crime. The boy shared key details that have not been revealed to the public in the 2022 slaying of Brandon O'Quinn Raspberry, a case that has left authorities scratching their heads for over 2 years. Raspberry, 32, was found in his RV on January 18th, 2022, with a single gunshot wound to his head and 2 minor graze wounds on each of his hands, according to the Gonzales County Sheriff's Office. Investigators believe he had been dead for 2 days before his employer reported him missing. He had only been living in the RV park for 4 days. I want to go ahead and pause right there. You know, isn't it kind of horrific to think about the fact that you move into a new area and just within the first couple of days of you being there, you lose your life? You know, I think that it's always scary, I think, for people to move into new settings and stuff like that. But also a piece of information that was revealed here is that I believe they found his body on January 18th. And they said that it was there for a couple of days, most likely. So I guess that the night that this guy was killed was actually maybe January 15th or 16th. So just to go ahead and clear up that bit of information. Well, let's go ahead and dive back in. Police combed through Raspberry's cell phone data and interviewed multiple neighbors, but all leads were exhausted until last week when a local principal called to report the 10-year-old's chilling confession and threats to kill another student. Based on this information, the deputy contacted the Gonzales County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigation Division. Investigators determined, based on the information the child told the school, the child may have knowledge about the murder of Brandon. The boy, whose identity has not been revealed, described in detail in interviews with police every detail of the cold-blooded murder he allegedly carried out when he was just 7 years old. The boy had been visiting his grandfather, who lived at the same RV park at the time, and noticed Raspberry walking around a lot. On the night of the murder, the child took a 9mm, which he described as dirt and army green in color, from the glove box of his grandfather's truck, and then he crept and snuck into Raspberry's RV. The child stated he observed Brandon sleeping in his bed and quietly approached Brandon and discharged the firearm into Brandon, striking him once in the head. The child stated that as he was leaving the RV, he discharged the firearm another time into the couch inside the RV. The child then exited the RV, returned the firearm to the glove box of the truck, and acted as if nothing ever happened. According to investigators, the boy had no clear motive for the deranged crime. He admitted that he had never even met Brandon and didn't even know his name. The child was also asked if he was mad at Brandon for some reason, or if Brandon had ever done anything to him to make him mad. But the child stated no. The same day, police tracked down the suspected weapon at a pawn shop the child's grandfather had since sold it to. It was later matched with spent shell casings that were collected at the scene of the crime. Most shockingly, the boy cannot even be charged with Raspberry's death. Texas law states that a child cannot be responsible for a crime until they are 10 years old. Raspberry's family is not only outraged that their loved one's killer won't be punished for the murder, but it is shocked at how young the kid was. Finding out that it was a 7-year-old that committed the murder, a senseless murder at that, it's just tragic. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around, said Raspberry's brother. I feel like the boy knew exactly what he was doing. Why wasn't the child being supervised more? The boy has since been placed on a 72-hour emergency detention following his confession before being taken to a psychiatric hospital in San Antonio, Texas for evaluation and treatment. He has since been booked on making threats charges for the incident involving his classmate and is being held in county jail. Now, you can think it's harsh if you want to, but in my opinion, when you have a human being like this, doesn't matter the age, I don't think there's any coming back from this. I think some people are unredeemable. I don't judge anyone for like the past, and we all make mistakes when we're young, but certain mistakes are worse than others. And here you have a 10-year-old admitting that for no apparent reason at all, nonchalantly just walks into someone's RV and just takes their life. No thoughts, no F's given. Goes on for a couple of years in school, threatening to kill someone else in school, and then nonchalantly admits, yeah, well, a couple of years ago, I offed some guy in an RV park. This is what you call a deranged monster. I don't want to hear anything, oh, it's a confused child who knows about his upbringing. No, someone like this needs to go ahead and be casted away. Throw them to the wolves. I don't care. I think that at a certain point in time, we need to have a conversation about not reintroducing certain types of people back into society. And here we have a 10-year-old that did something like this when he was 7. And it doesn't seem to be a one-off mistake because he's already threatening other kids. And at some point, you have to stop being sympathetic towards this 10-year-old child and be sympathetic towards all of the kids around him. What matters more? That we coddle this 10-year-old that has already taken the life of someone and is threatening to take other lives? Is it more important that we worry about his feelings and whatever he's going through? Or is it more important that we make sure that the hundreds of other kids around him in school are safe? It's priorities. Put them both on the scale. One outweighs the other, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't give a damn about what this kid's going through. I don't give a damn about trying to rehabilitate this kid or trying to get them the help they need. For all I'm concerned, I don't even want to, I can't even say what I'm thinking. I'll just keep it at that. But I don't think this child should be reintroduced to society. I don't think that other parents in Texas or wherever the hell this child ends up should have to worry about their kids going to school alongside a psychopath like this one. But unfortunately, that's what's happening nowadays. They're forcing your totally normal kids that have been raised right to have to be subjected to these wild animals, almost, basically, who won't think twice. They think nothing of taking a life. But it's okay, we'll put them right here in the same school as you. We know they've threatened to do this. We know they've done that, but here you go. But because of the laws in Texas, they can't even charge this kid. But if you ask me, this is scarier than any of the true crime cases that you see people talking about, any of the true crime cases I've covered, because it's like something you don't expect. A lot of people are worried that something's going to happen to them, or this is going to happen, or this is going to happen. You're never really worried that a 7-year-old is going to sneak inside of your RV and kill you, right? But more and more these days, I keep coming across these stories of young kids doing stuff like this. Now, I'm not saying that young kids never did anything crazy in the past, but not at this rate. Every day, every week, I'm seeing another story. It wasn't that long ago that I brought you all a story about 2 kids riding bikes around a neighborhood that I guess got in an argument with the old lady that wanted them to stay off her lawn, so they came back with gloves and a knife and they shanked her up like a prison yard. And now you have this situation. So all I'm going to say is you got to watch these kids out here. I'm like Michael Jordan right now. F them kids. You come around me looking crazy, you are bound to get stiff-armed. Because there's nothing creepier than an evil child, if you ask me. Like, I can deal with evil adults all day, but evil children? Have you ever watched horror movies like The Possessed Kids? It's like what we're dealing with right now. We're literally dealing with the children of the corn. So, I feel like back in the day, children were given the benefit of the doubt. You see a kid, you automatically think they're harmless. These days, a kid comes up on me looking wrong, bam, right in the head with the iPad. I ain't got time for none of that nonsense. I ain't got time for none of you 7-year-old freaking murderers. Stay away from me. But for real though, you know, it's sad that this is what's happening, but it's happening more and more. And as it happens more and more, you would hope that parents would be doing more to keep, like, you know, weapons and stuff away from these kids, but that's not happening either. It's just becoming too much, you know? And in a day and age where we're already dealing with adults completely losing their minds, going off the rails, and, you know, attacking people and doing Lord knows what, it really sucks that now we have to look at 7-year-olds sideways because they're out here killing folks too. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this, whatever they are, down in the comments below. Make sure that your kids aren't out here doing anything like this. If you would like to donate to the channel so I can buy some 7-year-old murderer repellent, you can donate to the channel via CashApp or Super Thanks, or you can help the channel for free by liking and sharing the video. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.